What the hell is that? Look at the cracks. Okay, right about there you can see the little perforation. Everything else is quite solid. I've had a rust inhibitor on this for about a week, and I've just spent the last few minutes just sanding it back just to try and get back to the exposed metal. So I'm going to put a couple of tacks in that there now and get that sealed off, and then we'll grind it flat, and we're just going to use the plate as it is because it's actually rock solid. Make sure I give this a real good heavy coat now, because this is going to get a good sanding. There's a couple of spots that will need filling, but I kind of wanted to give it a layer of primer just to kind of highlight the parts that need work. So I'm not brilliant at filling, but like everything else with this project, I give it a shot. Okay, I've got a couple of layers on, and I've gone around to a few spots. I've gone in quite heavy with a couple of them, so I'm going to be relying very much so on my sanding ability. But I'm just going to leave this dry for the night, and we'll start sanding tomorrow. We're feeling fairly good. It's actually blended in quite well. You can't really feel anything. We've got one tiny high spot here, so I'm just going to tap that back in and fill it. I think there's a little bit more shenanigans going on in around here, so we'll give this a go. But overall, it's pretty good. We'll start filling those few last spots, and then we can get priming this again. Okay, I've got this here. It's a knife and putty, because there's a couple of small tiny spots where you can see that the chip didn't quite fill in with the primer, or I missed it earlier on. So this gives you the opportunity to not go through that whole Bondo process and mixing it. This can be just put on straight, and it should dry in 20 to 30 minutes. I've never used it before. Like with everything from Mark, everything's an experiment. So let's give this a go. Someone's asking me for something. You wanted to go, don't you? You do? Alright, let's do it. Alright folks, I'm having a hell of a time with this wing. So when this was just about ready to spray, I noticed a little bit of a blister forming down here, which was that spot right there. So I started sanding and found that the paint was not bonded with the steel, and it's kind of a little similar kind of action here. So I decided to sand it back, and we found a few little undulations. So we're going to reprime it again and see if we can flatten it. Okay, I've left this dry for a couple of days, and I came out with the intention of flattening it back, and then discovered this. What the hell is that? Look at the cracks. Oh, and they're in loads of spots. So I did a bit of googling, and it turns out that if you add too much thinners to the primer, it'll contract and crack. So guess what I have to do? Sand it all back down again. So I'm just going to start sanding this. I'll probably have to go back up to a rougher grit and start taking it back. Okay, spent a bit of time on this now and got it all sanded back. Unusually, the cracks seem to go back quite a lot further into it than I was expecting. It seemed to kind of go down through some of the original paint on some spots, and I don't know if they were related to the cracks I've seen above. Could be, it would make sense that they were. Maybe some of you guys out there that would have more experience in painting than I would can tell me what was going on there. I'm guessing maybe the thinners in the primer kind of got onto that layer underneath and started affecting it and causing it to blister and crack. So I got mostly sanded back. You can see a little bit of the design of the cracks there originally, but it's not, you can't feel it anymore. I think we kind of got back to that point. So what we're going to do is spray again. We don't need to do it all, we just need to kind of do here. Nothing to do with that over here. And this time we're going to try and see if we can spray it without having any thinners in it at all. If we have to put it a little bit, we'll do it. But here we go again. This always broke my heart doing painting, so I'm just learning as I go along. So another day has passed, and I let this kind of dry out for a while, and I noticed that the same shit was happening all over again. So I basically got some thinners and started wiping it back to see what was going on, and this is what was going on. There was a layer underneath that was reacting with any kind of thinners that was in it. So to be honest, the foundation was just destroyed. So no matter how good it was going to go on, I probably was just hiding the time bomb. So do you know what I need to do? I need to sand this all off again. Start from scratch. You live and you learn, don't you? So I started removing the paint, and you can see a reaction happening everywhere. It's like this layer, it could have been lacquer, I'm not too sure what it is, but it's definitely not stem bonded once there was any kind of thinners involved. So I used that knowledge and said, you know what, basically put down a cloth, put down some thinners, just soak it up and just see if it pulls off the layer. So let's see. Seems to be doing good. Yeah, that's a winner. So essentially I just use that to kind of expose the layers to thinners for a period of time, and I just seem to have lifted it all. So now I can get down to this, and oh, look at that, everything's coming off nice and easy now. So I might do this for a little while, just kind of spraying on a little bit of thinners, lift up the layer of paint, clean it up, good to go. That was an entertaining many hours, and we're gone right back underneath the paint and we're down to these two sub layers of primer. I made a few decisions as I was going along. I kind of found that my border between wherever I was filling before kind of crossed over onto the paint, so I wasn't going to take that chance. So I backed it all off so that there's no paint underneath this. So I'm going to redo them. We uncovered a new area that was filled back in the day. Don't know how old that is. And everything else seems to be okay. But I've also made a decision that I'm going to go and debadge this car. So I'm going to go and fill these holes. So even though I said before that I was going to go and show the badge, I'm actually going to have black decals on this along with a black bumper on top of the paint colour that I'm going to choose. Kind of seen it on another car and it looks really tasty. So what I'm going to do now is going to tack these in we're going to fill all, start from the beginning all over again. Alright, off screen I've flipped it over to the other side, and I kind of gave them another little tack just to get a bit up some material. See where it's mostly joined in. I think it should be sufficiently strong. Be a nice little area for the filler to kind of dip down into. So I think what is next is to get some filler on this and leave it set for the night, and then have a joyous day of sanding tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to kind of getting back to where I was. This has been painful. So when I weld these, I wanted to make sure that they didn't pop up anyway at all. So I'm kind of coming over with just any kind of fly edge here, and just make sure that there's any kind of bit of daylight coming through it. Should be good enough. Alright guys, a day has passed. I just filled in all these spots here that were all low. Around some places I really hammered it on, hence why I didn't show you when I hammered it on. I put them on a bit thick just because my hands were so shaky from doing all the cleaning yesterday. So I got a few hours of sanding ahead of me, but at least I feel like we're getting this back to where it could be usable. So let's get sanding. Groundhog Day, we're back here again. So I got this first layer primer on so I can start highlighting kind of any defects, and when we wet sand this down after a while, it'll kind of just show any kind of little low spots or any parts where the filler had porosity, or where I just did not go down far enough with the sanding. So there's a couple of spots that we'll have to kind of home in on, but overall it actually looks quite good. I'm just curious to see how even this looks when we sand it. But you never know until you get into that first layer of sanding. So we'll leave it dry for a while, see how we get on. I have wet sanded it all, and it all came out fairly well. A couple of spots there where the filler was in, you can see where there was porosity in the filler itself, so I've kind of gone over with the putty and kind of filled in any kind of the holes, but overall it all came out fairly well. I had a little bit of an issue here when I was sanding it. I could see a tiny little divot here as I went from this plane to this plane, so I actually kind of started taking back this further, which blended it in a little bit better. It might be the most minuscule dip there, but I think you're going to have to be really looking for it to actually have an issue with it. And I think at this stage I want to just get a wing that I can look at with the paint on it, just to see how it came out. But overall everywhere else came out good, so I'm going to leave that putty set for a while, and you see all kinds of defects when you get in close. Yeah, there's a bit of putty there as well. But yeah, we'll let this set and we'll sand it, and then it'll be ready for another layer of prime. And hopefully at that stage then it's just a matter of wet sanding it, getting ready for the paint. Okay, I think we are there. This has been wet sanded in a couple of spots where the primer had to be touched up because I kind of went a bit overboard on the edge, and went a little bit overboard here when I was sanding, so I went down to the filler. So I've re-primed it again. I think we are good to go, so we're going to go and spray the colour on now. I'm nervous to say the least because every attempt I've done on this has failed, so this will be the first time to actually see the colour. Fingers crossed. Okay, that is layer 1 on for my test piece, and I just barely made it with the paint. Not quite heavy enough in that corner, but not bad for the first layer. You can see the paint went on quite well. It really is down to the preparation, guys. The more time you can put into the prep, the better. But we have this blue one. This is a Volkswagen / Audi turbo blue. You would see it on the RS5s and the S5s as far as I know. But yeah, looks fantastic. It's actually a little bit darker on the screen than it really is. It's a bit closer to a baby blue. But delighted with this. Yes, blue is a recurring theme around here. I'll have to change the colour of the house now just to keep the neighbours happy. What we'll do then is we'll offset blue with black decals on the side, black air dam, black bonnet, just to kind of give not to have it overpoweringly blue, because it is fairly strong as it is. But yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with this. It looks class. Got the car up in the jack stands as you've just seen, and when I took off the back seals I found more rust, so there's going to be another rust episode coming up, how to repair back down here. Hopefully I'll be coming to the end of that rust fairly soon. Apologies if my episodes are a little bit spread out lately. It's summertime, so the weekends you're kind of doing a few other things, so it's kind of hard to get a little bit of time just to go filming. Usually during the autumn and winter you're kind of more closed in, so you can spend a bit more time. So, but I do hope to actually get more frequent episodes coming out. I have a few more planned for you guys. That's it for this episode, guys. Happy days, paint is on at last. Any likes and subscribes you can send my way, guys. Really appreciate that. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.